Well, Bakayo, huge congratulations. England have the bronze medal. You've got the match ball, but wow, that was a roller coaster, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a crazy game. Obviously, we're both still quite disappointed to not be in the final, but it was about finishing strong, and for us, giving the country the best position in the World Cup they finished for around 60 years, so we're happy with the final result.
Here's the stat that makes this game genuinely strange. Going into Saturday, France had the best defense left in the World Cup, for goals conceded in 6 matches. Best of any semi-finalist, better than England, better than Spain, better than Argentina. Then they conceded 6 in one night. So the question isn't, how did England score 6? England were brilliant. We'll get to that. The real question is what happened to the best defense in the tournament. And the answer isn't bad luck. It's traceable, decision by decision, to about 4 specific problems. Let's go through them.
We had another day less to prepare and another difficult match in the heat, and we come from altitude and from extra time in the heat and from overtime. Against Norway, had a day less to prepare, play against a world-class team, and left all the disappointment behind.
Start here, because it explains almost everything else. William Saliba, France's first choice, best defender of the tournament, wasn't out there. And this isn't a rotation choice. It's a genuine injury story that had been building for months. Saliba had been carrying a chronic back issue since before the World Cup even started. He sat out France's final group game as a precaution, and by his own admission had been managing minor niggles for months. He kept playing through it anyway, reportedly relying on pain medication to get through matches. It finally gave out for real in the semi-final against Spain, forced off after just 30 minutes, telling teammates, "My back is gone," and later facing the possibility of surgery. That's not a guy being rested for a dead rubber. That's France's best defender physically breaking down at the worst possible moment, 3 days before the biggest defensive test left on their calendar. So Deschamps went into the bronze final with Maxence Lacroix, who had already had to deputize for Saliba in the semi-final, and Ibrahima Konaté, making his first start of the entire World Cup, pairing up for the first time in a knockout match with everything on the line. Konaté test night was a disaster by every account. Multiple outlets gave him a 2 out of 10. One French paper's verdict was brutal. No leadership, no organization, looked lost every time England came forward. He was hooked at halftime. Lacroix wasn't much better in that first 45, repeatedly failed to track Bukayo Saka's runs down the flank, and Saka made him pay twice before the break. On the other side, Theo Hernandez at left back had arguably the worst game of anyone on the pitch. Some ratings had him as low as 1 out of 10, and he was hauled off at the interval too. This is the part that doesn't show up in the score alone. England's midfield trio, Declan Rice, Eberechi, Morgan Rogers, completely overran Warren Zaïre-Emery and Adrien Rabiot in the middle of the park. Rice scored inside 3 minutes essentially unchallenged from distance. Rabiot then got out-muscled by Ezri Konsa on the corner that made it 2-0. When you lose the midfield battle that badly, your back line isn't getting any protection. Konaté and Lacroix weren't just individually poor, they were exposed constantly because England were moving through the middle at will.
And had a fantastic reaction 72 hours after our loss. We have the best tournament in 60 years. We have the best tournament on foreign soil, so we have quite a good tournament. Can always be better when you're third. We were not shy to dream big. We went for it. We tried. With big achievement comes some.
This is the one pundits kept coming back to. France's front players, the attacking talent that's supposed to be the best part of this team, simply weren't putting in defensive work in that first half. Every time England had the ball in French territory, it looked live. Analysts pointed to a clear lack of desire to track back and defend once possession was lost, calling it out as uncharacteristic and disrespectful to the occasion. Whether that's fatigue, motivation, or a team that mentally clocked out of a dead rubber, the effect was the same. England's transitions had space to run into every single time. Late in the game, Jed Spence burst into the box and Malo Gusto brought him down. Penalty, Saka's hat trick completed. Gusto's rating from the French press, 2 out of 10. That wasn't a freak moment. It was one more example of the same pattern that had been happening all match. England's fullbacks getting in behind, and France's defenders reacting a step too late.
And you've had a few days to reflect from the disappointment. How do you look back on England's tournament as a whole?
Yeah, I would say we built and built across the tournament. We had some amazing results, and in the end we fell short against Argentina, and yeah, it hurts a lot to all of us, and I'm sure it's the same for the fans back home.
Here's what's actually interesting about the second half. France fixed it, partially, in real time. Deschamps made a quadruple substitution at the break. Dayot Upamecano came on for Konaté and was a completely different level. Aggressive, front-foot defending, rated as high as 8 out of 10 by some outlets. And he directly set up one of the France goals. Lucas Digne came on for Hernandez and stabilized the left side. With actual first-choice caliber defending on the pitch, France went from being torn apart to scoring 3 goals in 20-odd minutes and nearly completing one of the great World Cup comebacks. That's the tell. The problem was never a lack of quality in the squad. It was the specific 11, and specifically the back 4, that started the match. They still couldn't fully recover. Saka's penalty and Bellingham's 98th minute finish closed it out at 6-4. But the shape of the game tells the story clean. Disastrous backline selection plus a first half with 0 defensive urgency, partially rescued by substitutions that came about 45 minutes too late. France didn't lose this because England were unstoppable, even though England were excellent. France lost it because their best defender's body gave out 3 days earlier, forcing a backline that had never played that shape together into the biggest defensive test of the tournament, in front of a midfield that got overrun, in a match where their attackers weren't tracking back. By the time Deschamps corrected it with Upamecano and Digne, the hole was already 4-0 deep. The best defense of the tournament didn't suddenly become bad. It lost its foundation to injury days before kickoff, got forced into an unfamiliar shape with 0 time to adjust, and the players who could have prevented the damage, Upamecano especially, were sitting on the bench for the first 45 minutes because Saliba's body simply couldn't hold up one more game. That's the real story behind the scoreline. Not a fluke, not a nobody-cared dead rubber shootout, but a specific set of selection and structural failures you can point to minute by minute. If you want the England side of this breakdown, how their front 4 exploited every one of these gaps, let me know in the comments and I'll do that one next.
We had another day less to prepare and another difficult match in the heat, and we come from altitude and from extra time in the heat and from overtime. Against Norway, had a day less to prepare, play against a world-class team, and left all the disappointment behind and had a fantastic reaction 72 hours after our loss. We have the best tournament in 60 years. We have the best tournament on foreign soil, so we have quite a good tournament. Can always be better when you're third. We were not shy to dream big. We went for it. We tried. With big achievement comes sometimes a big pain, which did 72 hours ago. We lost to the reigning champions. We were 85 minutes up. So it is still a tough one and still a painful one. But it's not a matter of what if. It's just what it is. Today was the moment to show a reaction, and they again did. Next competition is Nations League. Now is the moment to digest and reflect, and for the players also to be proud. They achieved something historic, and in 7 weeks need to be hungry again.